Hey everybody, Michael Gungor here. Welcome to the Loving This podcast. Excited to share this episode with you today. This is my good friend Pete Holmes, one of my besties in the world, and we talk about comedy as liturgy. And I recorded this episode with him like over a year ago because I was thinking a lot about liturgy. Liturgy means the work of the people. I was thinking about like, how do people get together? How do we feel less alone? Like, what do we use? I know liturgy is usually used for religious spaces, but I think there's something broader that even happens with religious spaces of like, what do people do to be together, to connect, to share meaning, to remember who we are, to create ritual? And so I'm interested in art forms as a form of liturgy. I'm interested in comedy and music. And at the time, I was trying to put together a new liturgist podcast season, but that just hasn't really come together. I just keep hitting roadblocks with it. And it's already been a year since I've recorded this, so I'm like, I'm just going to put out some of these episodes on Loving This because I like the conversation. A lot of these conversations were also while I was thinking through what I could do with my own skills and talents to bring people together. And Mystic Hymnal is something that kind of really came out of these ideas as well. For those of you that have been following along, you've probably heard me talk about it. It's a group singing project. We're actually on the road right now. As I'm recording this, we have 8 more dates of this spring tour. We're going to be in Austin and back through Colorado and Houston and LA and San Diego, Tucson. So if you hear this soon, and would love to see you out at these events. They've been amazing. But I hope you enjoy this episode with the incomparable Pete Holmes, and hope to see you soon. All the love. Hello, Pete.
Hello, Gungies.
How's it going?
I'm good. I was telling you that today has been sort of emotional for me. We did an episode of our podcast this morning. And like sometimes our podcast, like 1 out of every 8 will be like really raw. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those. So then between that one and this one, and I want you to hear the compliment in this. I did all of my things that I'm such a things guy, like turn it around guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I cold plunged, I hot tub,
green juice,
trampoline. That's my new one.
Oh, I haven't heard this one.
Real fast, because nobody's tuning in to the Liturgist podcast for life hack. That's a Huberman. Maybe. Real quick, because I know there's a lot of Liturgist listeners that are like me that are just like, can you please just tell me what to do that's the least amount I can do and why?
Yeah. For the turnaround. For
a turnaround, but specifically your lymphatic system. This is almost over.
Okay.
I just said the lymphatic system.
We lost like 4 or 5.
People hate this
percent
episode.
Of the audience right there.
I'm writing a negative comment. Like, I hate this episode. But it turns out you have your circulatory system, which your heart pumps. Then you have your lymphatic system, which basically is the same system again behind your circulatory system, but nothing pumps it. So to flush your lymphatic, to flush your lymphs, you need movement. And it turns out, this is from NASA. That's those are my receipts. NASA says the best exercise available to a human is trampoline, rebounding, they call it. Here's the best part, and we're almost done. 2 minutes of jumping on a trampoline is enough to reset your lymphatic system and get it pumping for the entire day. So if you're like stodgy, and your lymph system isn't just energy, although it is, it's also your immune system. It has a lot to do, and now I'm out of my depth. I'm fully out of my depth, but I do know it has a lot to do with your general. What do you visualize when
you're talking about your lymphs? Is it like
I don't know. I'm picturing my
little
kidneys.
Cords. What?
The lymphatic system is another system of like what looks like veins, basically, behind your.
So there's little wires everywhere.
I did watch a YouTube about it, so you're welcome. I just summarized it. But the difference between, it's also really hard to jump on a trampoline. And however long you jump on a trampoline times 3 is how long you would have been running. like not jogging, but running.
Times 3.
So jumping for 2 minutes is 6 minutes of running.
Oh, man.
So if you did it for 10 minutes, that's a 30-minute run. And you'll know, by the way.
That's a hard thing to have in your yard, though, a trampoline. Isn't
You don't need one in your yard. And this is
one of those little ones?
You can do it with a little one. In fact, sorry, I know I'm talking a lot. I'm always excited to see it. But I'm really interested in, I think there should be a word, like a German word, like Schadenfreude, but like for a good thing. Meaning, since I've become a parent, there are all these things that I did for Leela that ended up being for me.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's like a surprise. Like we bought her a trampoline. She does use it. I use it every day for 2 minutes, and it makes a huge difference. The other one is the pool cover. Obviously, when she was little, we bought a pool cover. I was like, pool covers are insanely expensive because they know they got you. They have all this literature on
save your child's life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They've got you on the hook. So they're like, and this is what it costs. And you're like, well, I don't know what to say to that, so I'll just buy it. So I got a pool cover. That was to protect the kid and the kids that come by. And now it keeps the pool warm, and I swim every day. So it was for me. It ended up being for me.
You're all reset.
I'm all reset, baby. But I did it for you.
I appreciate that.
I wasn't going to have my return to the liturgist be a stinker.
But you can show up however. If the stodgy...
We say that.
But I've seen you.
No, I believe you.
But sometimes when you're grumpy and stodgy, you're also very funny.
I agree. In fact, that's the funniest, Pete. This is the least relatable version of me. This one that you're talking to. Green juice, espresso, trampolined Pete.
Yeah.
In fact, that's going to bring me to my first liturgist kind of feeling point, is that like you are of no use complete to people. Like you're actually sort of part of the problem if you have no cracks. And so I told you it's been an emotional week, and I noticed, so last night I watched you play music, and I'm just like having a deeply emotional experience because I was broken. That's it. We want to like opt out. And then again and again and again, Leonard Cohen, the cracks are how the light gets through. Yeah. And even seeing Hillary and seeing Mike and seeing Lisa, I needed people. I needed Val, and it was because I felt so sad. So I'm trying to incorporate all of it.
Do you feel like you ever purposefully bring up the cracks? Like if you have to do a show or... Do you ever feel like I got to tap into that in order to like relate to humans?
It's really funny that you asked that, actually, because I'm shooting a movie in Utah currently. I'm home for a week, and the character is like more complicated than any. This is the actor talking about how complicated their character is. But usually if I'm in a movie, it's just a funny dad.
Yeah.
This is like a manic kind of insane dad.
I'm interested to watch you do that.
That's sad at times and angry at times. And I'm like, what am I going to do before I need to be angry? And I was like, oh, I'll just call my parents.
Yeah.
I was like for real.
Wow.
And I'm only going to say this once. I love my parents. And nothing helps me get in touch with the cracks more than just a 5-minute chinwag.
Interesting.
And then I'm much more useful. This guy can only play the guy that started the Fire Festival, the guy that started WeWork. Like I can play like manic entrepreneurs in this state. That's not really that useful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like thanks, but no thanks.
And I mean, I think of like how many artists, I think Billie Eilish, like when she was the most in suffering is when like her biggest deal, when she's like, I want to end me.
Of course.
And she's suicidal. You see the darkness in her eyes. Everyone's like, oh my God, I love it. And then she goes through like a little health and happy times. And some people say, yeah.
Totally. I like Billie Eilish, but I don't know her well enough to know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's been, I've heard a little of that through Amelie mostly, but like that some people are kind of like, they kind of yawn when she's actually feeling better.
I mean, isn't that what, and I'm not trying to be funny, like when Adele lost weight.
Yeah.
Weren't we kind of like, There was a poet. I reference this poem all the time. I only heard it once, an Irish poet that said this is a paraphrase and I can't even cite it, like, so you can read it. But essentially the poem was asking the poet for another song, for another poem is like asking him to get broken again, to have another heartbreak or it's like a curse, like you're cursing them. And like, I often think in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Jim Carrey had just gotten divorced and they had a meeting on it. And Jim was so sad. And the director, Michel Gondry, said, "Don't get well."
Jeez.
He goes, "Don't get well because the look in your eyes right now is exactly what we want."
That's crazy. It's really true. It's really perceptive of her. And it's like, it sucks.
Yeah.
As someone who...
Oh, Michel Gondry's a boy.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I was like, are we talking about homily again?
No. Yeah. Thank you for the correction. But it sucks to have the financial and artistic impetus to like not be well, if that's... But I also understand it and can like where we meet each other in our wounds is very connective and very like, that's where we can feel seen ourselves.
Look, let's liturgist it up. It's Christ on the cross.
Yeah, it really is.
That's the big me too, that God isn't observing our suffering, which is what I thought for most of my life was God was the lifeguard watching me in the pool, occasionally getting bit by it.
I'll get you out of there eventually.
And then you can come be with me.
Yeah, I'll just follow these 3 rules first, and I'll get you out.
Then you get a nice high chair, and and there's actually a pretty good restaurant that serves poolside. And we're just in there going like,
there will be some of your friends who are still in the pool being tortured for all of eternity, but we'll be up here. Don't worry about it.
That's the hot tub.
That's the hot.
The hot tub is where really wicked
yeah.
guys go. And we're like, okay, just get through this. And then I think it was probably a blend of Rob Bell and Richard Rohr it might have been, who cares? But guys like that were like, God is participating in your suffering as you and as you're suffering.
Yeah.
Like, what else could it be but God, but an expression, or as Rupert Spira would say, my first Rupert Spira reference, and we're only 8 minutes in or whatever, but it's a modulation of the only thing there is. You're suffering. There isn't something called God somewhere else that could watch you, something else somewhere else, doing something. Like that's blasphemy. But it's the most common blasphemy is that look, I'll speak for myself. When I was a Christian, I was like, God is infinite, eternal, everywhere, but I can draw with a very permanent marker a boundary around me and be like, but I'm the little skin tag that is not, that is where God cannot penetrate, and that God would actually like to kick into a furnace. And that was just always so strange. We turned our nose so hard up at like pantheism or the idea that a rock was divine. We're like, please, you know? And I'm like, but it was also so annoying when people would say that to me. God is eternal, but he's not in us. But I was like, shut up. Like, I'd get so bothered by that question.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing to be on as your career or whatever you do, though, like you. And I feel to some degree like my career is sort of communicating to people what's happening in my internal world, whether that's through a song or through a podcast or a book. And it is an interesting thing to have the weight of the scale. Like, can I find the ugliness as much as possible to show and to not be inauthentic about that? So this is kind of an embarrassing story, but this just happened where I was doing a Facebook ad for a show.
Yeah.
And it had like an option to give you multiple captions, like whatever works best, that'll what ends up being served to people. And so I just had ChatGPT, like, give me 4 options of this, what I want to say. And one of them really leaned into like, I feel scared about this show. Like, it was kind of a sadder, darker, like, oh no, I'm
what
afraid.
If people don't come, I'm afraid.
Yeah. And that's the one that ends up showing to people, I guess, because my mom saw it.
Wait, I'm not quite understanding the technology. The ad will somehow pick a caption for you?
Yeah, so it'll show 100 people. I don't know what the actual number is, but maybe it shows 100 people, 25 each of the 4 options. And if 12 of the 25 that showed this option picked or clicked on it, and then only 3 of the other one, it starts weighting the next 100 people more towards the option that people clicked on.
Wow.
So it's like, it's deciding what.
And the one that was most compelling was, I'm scared that my show won't sell out.
Which it was a little, there's, I guess, a little truth to that, but it's really not, I'm not losing sleep over it. But the way it was worded, my mom was like, "Oh no, Michael's not okay."
Yeah.
So she like bought a ticket to come out.
Wow. Yeah, I
And
mean,
it's like, "Oh, mom, you don't need to worry about it.
yeah.
I'll be okay." I mean,
And what the algorithm doesn't consider is how many times you can cry wolf. If every time you're posting about a show it says I'm scared, people go, this is a dangerous person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is a sociopath.
Right.
Because thirsty, there was somebody on Facebook who was dying. My Facebook is thousands of, brag, but it's people, I used to use it as my fan page, like my proper Facebook. So it's thousands of people I don't know. You know what I mean? So my Facebook is actually quite fun to look through. And there was somebody who said they were dying. And I was like, oh my God, I've never seen somebody posting. Turns out they're not dying. It's like, look, and that's fine. Maybe they thought they were. I'm not here to call that. But those are the kinds of things you click on. Like you going, I'm scared. This poor guy, he is okay now. But he was like, I'm dying. And I'm like, okay, click. And then like it works. And it is, there was a comedian who he got on all these talk shows and stuff because he said he was dying, and then it turned out he wasn't dying. We have the cry wolf story for a reason. So but what I find interesting and distinctly human is we need to play 3-dimensional chess with that. Like that'll work once. But the next time you promote a show, if you say, I'm scared, people will be like, this guy's scared again? Like you're using the currency of terror with the community inappropriately, and now you're a huckster. I'm not saying you are.
Yeah.
I'm saying that's the kind of thing that these algorithms aren't really considering. Is the long game.
It definitely weights the negativity, and the fear is more viscerally compelling.
Of course it is. That's why we do this. We go, it's my last show. What are you really saying there? You're just like, I'm dying.
Yeah.
Like the band is dying.
Yeah.
Please come to our funeral. Like you're really really pulling on those heartstrings.
Yeah. And it was subtle. I mean, the actual words, just to be clear, it wasn't like really overtly like I'm scared. It just, there was a little bit more of feeling.
I think we put that to one side, and now we're just talking about the general use of fear and sadness.
So,
in marketing,
right? But also in art and what we do, and maybe this is a good kind of, I can frame why I wanted to talk to you. Any excuse to talk to you really is always great.
I love it.
But this season of the Liturgists, I want to have a theme kind of that we're building around, and that is liturgy itself. And what liturgy is, and this is not to like force my view of what liturgy is to anybody else, but I could find curiosity in this topic, which is why I picked it. Why do we get together as humans, and what do we do when we get together as humans, and what are we trying to do in it?
Yeah.
And how conscious of that can we be? Like, and so to me, comedy and like stand-up comedy and entertainment and is a form of liturgy as I'm looking at it, of like, we get together, we have a ritual of like, we watch somebody tell us jokes. I
have so many thoughts, Michael.
Yeah. So that's why I assumed you would. This is why I wanted to talk to you about this, but this could be a transition from what we were just talking about of like, when you're bringing up jokes, you're bringing up tension.
Yes.
Right. You're bringing up the contradictions of life, the paradoxes of life.
You're supposed to.
A good comedian does.
A lot of comedians,
as don't
go, isn't sex great? Isn't winning great? Isn't food great?
And isn't that person stupid?
Yeah. And aren't they wrong, and aren't we right? It's like Bad Religion too. The band. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But well, you seem like your eyes lit up when I brought it up as liturgy. So maybe we could just start. What are your thoughts about comedy and how it relates to liturgy or spirituality and the human impulse to get together and do something together? What are you doing?
Yeah, I am lit up, and I appreciate, what a gift to feel lit up. It's really special. I did want to start with, this isn't one of my I do have talking points on this. Mm-hmm. Like I know my things about this, but this isn't one of them.
Okay.
Because there's something really interesting. I read this book called Impro by Keith Johnstone, I think is his name. And it's about improv, but almost in like a 1960s sort of like, let's just make up a play. It's very like kind of happening, like beatniky.
Yeah.
It's not like whose line is it anyway stuff. It's a very cool book. And I was exposed to it young. And one of the things in it talked about mask work. And what you said is, oh, it's weird. Somebody gets up on stage and they're kind of like a scoundrel, even if you're sweet. I think Nate Bargatze is a scoundrel. I think Ryan Hamilton is a scoundrel. Like they are. And so does Nate, meaning I don't know that firsthand. I'm just saying Nate Bargatze, who's, in my opinion, a G-rated comedian and one of my favorites, says stand-up comedy out of context is just a mean speech. And he's talking about himself. And he's so right. So you're being a scoundrel, not nefarious or actually wicked, but you're being fun wicked. You're talking about, in his case, it might just be like your secret feelings about being annoyed with your wife or whatever it might be. You're still being kind of fun. So back to Impro and Keith Johnstone, he talks about mask work. So this being one of the most ancient liturgical kind of gathering activities that we did as early humans, was somebody would put on the mask of the devil. I don't mean Lucifer. I mean like the mischievous. And what I always took from this,
like the jester kind of thing, or
it's not the jester. It's more like these archetypes. It's like I'm going to be, I'm going to put on this big wooden mask.
Oh,
a literal mask.
Yeah, okay.
Like we're in a tribe. We're wearing loincloths and there's a fire and it's a full moon. Someone puts on a mask. They would look at their reflection, see that they are Loki, the devil of mischief or whatever it is. And then they would behave accordingly. And everyone would expect them, oh, he burned down my house. Well, he's Loki. He's the devil. That's what we're doing.
Interesting.
And, male initiation rites, all sorts of traditions are filled with other examples of this. The man puts on a mask and fights the boy and is rather rough with him. Well, he wasn't the guy, he was the devil. He needed to wrestle with that symbol. So I think, and I don't think this is a stretch, but, I could be wrong. I think one of my favorite things about being a comedian is having the pin. I wear a special pin, even when I'm just at a party. Sometimes people don't honor it. They think if we're not in a comedy club, I'm no longer a comedian. But most people will allow me to be a comedian anywhere. But especially in a comedy club, it's this very subtle dance of benefit of the doubt, which is my love language. I love it more than anything. This person is going to say things. This person is going to lean more heavily one way for humor than they might in a very nuanced, subtle conversation. But it's all in the hopes of delighting us. So that's one level of what's going on that feels liturgical to me, is I'm going to play the character of the wicked comedian, even if it's a G-rated wicked comedian, and you're going to allow that.
Do you think do you feel, I was just listening to an Osho talk. I've been listening to some Osho talks lately, which I've enjoyed, but he was talking about humor actually. And he was talking about the sutras of this guy named Azisa. And one of the sutras was don't tell wicked jokes. And then in funny Osho fashion, he was like, so let me start with 3 of them. but when he got into it, he's like, what is a wicked joke versus like, you can't see how reality is and not appreciate humor. Like jokes are at the core, like this is a joke. Reality is a joke. It's like the cosmic joke.
Well, the joke is, what if God split into 2 things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the meeting.
What if the impossible thing happened?
The infinite and the finite. That's a joke.
Yeah. God becoming a thing, forgetting it's God, being terrified that it's going to die is hilarious.
Hilarious.
To eternal being. Actually, not to eternal being. The only one that can enjoy that joke, and this is kind of the bitch of it, is the
God.
person who, isn't God, is us.
Oh, interesting.
I don't think God can get that joke.
But neither, to me, like neither can you if you really think you're you.
No, you as God, but that isn't ultimate reality.
It's in the meeting place of the contradiction.
I agree. Yes. So in the same way that infinite oneness can't know about Michael and Pete, right? It can't be a subject to us, the object.
Right.
But here's the, in my opinion, underreported aspect of non-duality is me as a manifestation of God is very aware and loves Michael very much and knows Pete and loves. So in this relative, albeit not what it appears to be way, I do know and care about the illusion. And that's the part that's the part of God that can get the joke. It's the me that isn't me, but.
Yeah.
Did that make sense?
But there's the delight that I think like, I just wonder about laughter can feel like a delight, even if it's in this wicked, quote unquote, wicked joking. But to me, there's a difference. I feel it when I'm watching different comedians, or I feel the delight kind of laughter with you. I feel it with Nate Bargatze. There's a delight about life. And then there's some comedians and a lot of what's popular from what I've seen, like on TikTok and stuff, a lot of the most popular comedy these days is at someone's expense. Some of the crowd work that's just kind of like mean feeling or like putting people down. That there's a violence about that, and it's interesting because if laughter is what happens when we sort of let go of our expectations, or we meet this dissonance about what you would expect the script to be. Duck, duck, goose, and then it's something else.
That's the best example of a joke. Duck, duck, goose. You, sir, have done a great thing today. I didn't even realize that is, if we only had a second to be like, it's duck, duck, goose. That's what a joke is.
Yeah.
I've never considered that that's one of the earliest jokes we all know.
Yeah.
Duck, duck. And you draw it out.
Sometimes you draw it out.
Duck,
it's even funnier.
duck.
Yeah.
And sometimes you do goose first. That's the first improv class.
Because then you're switching up the expected thing still. You think it's going to be duck, duck, goose.
And you like being the one that's up and walking. Everyone's watching.
You're the comedian.
But if you forfeit that for the laugh and go, goose. I used to do that. I used to do goose first. And I used to remember going, I should have ducked it. I think
you're still
long and then too long duck. That kid sucks too.
Yeah.
It's right in the sweet spot.
But you gotta feel the group dynamic. You gotta know what's been happening. You gotta know what the script is, the subtle feeling of the script
before.
Yeah.
Did someone do a long duck last time? Because now it might be time for a quick duck.
Or they might expect a quick duck because it was so long last time and you went even longer. Maybe it worked.
Maybe you get mad at the kid for going too long. Now you've set it up even more. And then you go even longer and you just got mad. Now it's another violation.
Yeah.
The guy who said, guys, we need to keep this to under 10 ducks is now doing 50 ducks.
Yeah.
It's funny again.
But there's something about our duck, duck, goose, our duck, duck, duck of our culture is like, don't be mean to people. So there is still a disruption when somebody's like really calls out somebody in the front row for being fat or whatever. Like,
yeah.
You're like, that's a disruption of our social norms. So we laugh still. Then we still like, oh, that's not what you're supposed to do. Ha ha. But it might be at the expense of an aspect. There might be a violence to it. And there's like almost a pseudo full laugh about that.
I completely agree. The one that I always think about, and I was just thinking about, is like somebody goes in the crowd, an insult comic, sees a bald guy, he puts his drink on his head. And that's just the ultimate. I could argue that both ways. One, the way you are, the violence of it. And two, the like, thank God we have a place where this guy's bald and we're gonna say you are bald. There is a quality to like, here, this guy's bald. I know that's not nice, but it's like, here, we're gonna say you're bald because I'm the devil. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what we're doing.
Right.
And don't come to the show if you don't want a drink on your head.
Yeah.
And I could also just as adamantly, and this is the tension of comedy as a whole. When I see that, the reason that comes to mind as an example is that always disturbs me. I'm like, that's so unkind. Like in particular, men sensitive about their hair. This guy's on a date. He spent money.
Yeah.
He's got a drink on his head. I see it both ways. It's not clean.
No, it's not clean.
It's not clean at all.
But from what you're saying, you feel the different energy of it. Because, maybe he thinks it's funny. Maybe he's like fully consenting.
I will say that the group is giving him an opportunity to laugh at himself and his baldness.
Yeah.
And a culture that values hair over baldness. But like, if he's not up to the task, it's
hard to do it with somebody else. I've seen you do sort of self-deprecating things on the stage that didn't feel like you were actually hating on yourself. It felt
no, it's great.
Like when you did the the first class thing. You did a bit about like how
Oh, yeah.
much you were suffering from not getting upgraded to first class. That was very funny to me, but it wasn't. It didn't seem like you were hating on yourself. It just felt like you were bringing this very.
I appreciate that because one of the things that comedy can do is it gives that, that's sort of spiritual, I suppose, is that you're being a witness and an impartial witness. So you're not actually going like, that joke is about Val. It's even worse. You made it better that I didn't get upgraded. What happened was we were just in a bad, see, even that, I'm setting it up. I'm being clever. Wasn't a bad habit. Let's call it a good run. Let's call it a good run of flying first class.
Yeah.
And here I'm tempted to say I'm 6'6". Has nothing to do with it. That's bullshit. That's what I would say to save face.
Right. You're the guy you would get in a cold tub on a trampoline, putting beats in your ears if it was helpful for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I also can be, this I will say, I'm not proud of it, but I'm like, if there's a special group that gets to get on the plane first and you get hot towels.
Exactly, yeah.
I want to be in
on the group. We all do.
I appreciate you saying that. I don't know if we all do. I don't know if, knowing Richard Rohr a little bit, he'd just be like, oh, wow, there's a towel. Like he'd enjoy it, but he'd probably get off and be like, I don't know if Mother would want me flying up there. Huh? I don't think he'd do it. Or at least let's put it this, Mother, I never heard her say a mean word, but if she saw me in first class, Anyway, I had a good run, and then money got tight because things got weird in LA. I'm not saying they're not still weird. They seem less weird. But when AI was really starting to flutter up, people were like, that's the end of writers. That's the end of movies. There was like a real doomsday Y2K kind of feeling. And I was like, all right, it's time to just assume that everything's going to change. And that's still possibly true. But like no one was buying TV. No one was buying movies. It really locked up. And I was like, all right, the first thing I can do, like we're looking at our finances, was like, what can I do? We're not bringing in as much money. I can stop flying first class. And I was like, I will do that for the family. What's a shock, and I'm embarrassed. You told a story you're embarrassed about. I'm embarrassed that I look at how good I am at telling the story, by the way. Meaning watch how, really, do watch this, how manipulative I am. Because I'm about to listen to what I'm about to say. I flew coach for 15 years. More.
Mm-hmm.
Doing comedy.
Yeah.
Crammed.
Yeah.
Middle seats.
6'6" in that
non-reclined. The back row by the toilet. That's me trying to signal to you guys that I deserve first class.
Yeah.
Because I'm embarrassed. But what was a shock, and I did, I was like, okay, I'll just fly economy. I don't like calling it coach. What am I?
Yeah, they call it economy.
Economy.
Yeah.
Just regular.
Yeah.
And the first time I went to the airport, and I was like, it's no big deal. I did it for 15 years and no big deal. It's fine. I even tried to be like, I'm like a man of the people. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a salt of the earth guy. Yeah. People are probably going to go,
wow, look at Pete.
There's
he could
Pete
be
Holmes.
up first class.
Yeah, I know him.
He's back here. Yeah.
He's back here.
But he's probably a saint.
He might be God.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I have a good feeling about it, though. And I was going in, and I really am kind of psyching myself up, just like, it's fine. And then when I got my boarding pass and it said Zone 4, I gasped. I literally went, I went from 1 to Zone 4.
Yeah.
And I went, the jokes are, I haven't really done this joke because it's too embarrassing, but I go, is that even the same plane? Do they call Zone 4 or is it just whoever's left? Yeah. Like there's still ashtrays in the armrests and they're warm. People have been smoking back there. And then I go in the back, and the thing that made it probably a joke that you liked was I was like, Pete, you spend so much of my time thinking about spiritual things, doing spiritual practice, whatever you want to say. And all it took to take me down was Zone 4.
Right.
I was like, I couldn't handle
that was what was funny,
Zone 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm starting to beat myself up. Val was with me, and she looks at me, and I'm like, oh, God, look at Val. She's having a fine time. Be like Val. And Val sees in first class they're going around with the service already. That's one of the things that happens in first class. You get a drink before takeoff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now that I've flown coach, since this story, dozens of times, I'm aware that in coach, you don't get a pre-drink.
Right, yeah.
Pre-takeoff drink.
Or the warm towel.
Or I decline the towel. That's a real flex. I go, no. I know you put...
You save that. You save that for someone else.
Potable water on a thing that you microwaved. Fucking beat it. I don't buy it. Anyway, I'm feeling bad and guilty. And then Val looks at me and goes, do they even check on us? And I was like, I'm so glad it's not just me. And then, do they even check on us? It made me feel so good. And then I've actually unpacked and processed this so much as I'm like, when I say victim, I don't mean boo-hoo, poor me. I mean, like, we're all victims of like consumerist culture.
Mm-hmm.
And what they do to get you to be a first class person is they do upgrade you. It's like drug dealing. They upgrade you. They want you to know. And then you look at a ticket and it's $600 economy and it's $1,100 first. Like sometimes it's like $2,000, but it's $1,100. And you're like, I don't know, I kind of feel like like you might splurge and then you're addicted. But you're not just addicted to the seat. What I notice is you're addicted to the identity.
Yeah.
It's
special. Yeah.
Pure ego, and it's exactly how to get people that are traveling around. Why are you traveling around? Probably to make money. And then you probably think, I deserve a cookie. And the cookie is right there, and there's a curtain, and there's a very nice steward up there who is very nice to you.
Yeah. And you can feel that on like international, where like what would be first class is now like a second class.
Yeah.
And now they've got the laydowns
Premium,
up there, or the room, the cabins up there.
Well, we knew we were getting in trouble when Val and I would go. She goes, how was the flight? And I go, it was a bad first class.
Yeah.
Meaning no TVs, it's just big chairs. It's just somebody's rec room. I'm sorry, I wouldn't have booked this. I want to lie flat. But honestly, the update to that is it ended up being a really meaningful exercise to me, because my identity that I thought I'm losing ended up being nothing. And I know that sounds stupid, but like, I like it now. I actually have gone the full way around and go, I like that I'm in coach. I like it. It's weird, but I'm like, thank God I get this little practice to just be like, don't believe it. Don't believe the star-bellied sneetch. You have a star on your belly. You're a special sneetch.
When you bring that up in comedy, do you feel, because now I'm wondering, was my laughter at the joke, am I doing the same thing that we started talking about, where it's like, well, I want you to be suffering. I want you to, like our artists, I want you to see your own wounds.
But I'm putting the drink on my own head.
Right.
Because yes, we do want me. That story is painful.
Yeah.
I went through real pain.
Right. Yeah.
I know it's ridiculous, but
no,
the first flight that I was like, I'm flying economy, I was actually worried what it said about me, because I had bought into a marketing campaign so hard.
Right.
And that is me scapegoating the marketing campaign. But I also just believed it. I was like, I'm a special boy. I fly in the big chair.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, I'm not a special boy. So there was pain. And then the alchemy is then I bring it on stage. You get that perspective and you go, oh, wait, I'm a fucking coastal elite asshole in this story. Let's laugh at it. Let's please laugh at it. That'll help me. You'll actually be healing me and help. And you're really laughing because I'm going, I became aware that I was wrong, or whatever you want to say.
Yeah, you're bringing it into awareness and into love in some way. It felt like, and I hope would hope
it was
that's
in
what
love.
it is.
No, it is.
And but like you said before, I don't think this endeavor in any liturgical thing, what we're trying to do, is ever clean. But you mentioned that this comedy thing is not necessarily clean, because you can really slide into, you could probably do that from really a place of shame and hating yourself.
Yeah. No, you could. In fact, I could.
But would it be as funny? I don't know.
No, comedy is a little bit like magic or like voodoo or something. Meaning, let's stick with magic. It's like there is light magic and there's dark magic.
Yeah.
And it's still, we're both magicians. And I've certainly dabbled in, these are just with jokes, like darker magic, like being like, what if could I be this? And a lot of comics that do a lot of the darker stuff, they dabble in light magic. There's moments where and they're all my people, so I'll always kind of be like sort of quietly on their side, like defending or trying to understand why they might do this or this. But one thing that I think, let's see if I can tie this into that. With liturgy, when I'm going out on stage, I always think it's not about the words. And it's also, even though I always try to do I always do a different hour than the last time I was there. That's how our jobs are different. Everybody wants you to do your old stuff. Everybody wants me to do new stuff.
Interesting.
But and both have burdens. But it's also not about the material. It's a trick. Don't get me started, because I love talking to you because you understand everything I'm saying. I'm like, I think the whole thing is a benevolent booby trap, but I think stand-up and any show can also be a benevolent booby trap, meaning come with the promise of I have an hour of new jokes, but guess what? That was an excuse to be in love together.
Yes.
And everything is an excuse.
Yes.
Booby trap is a little bit sexier, a little funnier to say it's a trap. But I think it is kind of a trap. It's like, come to the show.
Right.
You'll have the chicken wings are a trap. The drinks are a trap. You want to laugh. You want to hear other
The bread
mammals.
is a trap. The wine is a trap.
It's all a trap. But
it's an excuse, yeah.
It's us trapping ourselves. Like, who's trapping who? We're trapping ourselves. And then we go, okay, there's power dynamics. Okay, we like power. Well, we'll make someone, the stand-up comedian, is in control. Okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're the CEO of the evening. That's a manipulation.
Or the priest of the service.
Yeah. But that's like a concession. You like power? Okay, we'll put that person in power. You like laughing? Okay, it'll be funny. You like wickedness? Okay, here's some wickedness. But guess what? It was all to laugh, surrounded by other people laughing, and absolutely melt into one big puddle.
Yeah. That's, to me, comedy is actually more effective in some ways at what I think we're all really after in liturgy. Generically, I think it's more effective than most religions.
Yeah.
Liturgies. Which is why I love Zen so much. To me, Zen is this meeting place of the sacred and the absurd. It's a joke and a prayer at the same time.
Yeah.
And that, when a great comedian like you, is why I love your comedy so much. You do this. So to me, you bring us to that precipice of existence where we're like, what is this that we're experiencing? And bringing pain into it is bringing the tension of our experience of being somebody, right up to the top. And we can either laugh at it or push it back down, but you can't bring it that up into the tension without it doing something. It's and that's the liturgical power of it. It brings up the absolute absurdity of our existence. Are you going to laugh or are you going to get offended?
Yeah. And I think that's also what is going on with the alchemy. It's like taking something painful and turning it into a laugh. I don't know if I'll be able to sell this, but it's a way of showing that even your pain is made out of love. Even your loneliness is made out of love. And when I say love, I don't mean the good feeling romance. I mean the luminous, empty yes that is being. Everything is made out of that. And comedy at its higher levels, I'm also going to disagree with you in a fun way, can show look, even this is made out of laughter. Even this is, so there's something kind of holy with that. The only thing I was going to say, for fun and with just, I think, the appropriate dash of humility, you're talking about great comedy. When comedy goes bad, there's nothing worse.
Well, and
it can go bad. It can go wrong. Like when
religion,
yes, there's more risk. Last night we're at the event and someone said, Lisa said, Michael, you're going to play a song. And you're like, oh, I didn't even know. And then you rocked a song. And I was talking to Val about that. And I was like, I really admire, it was inspirational to me that you weren't planning on doing it. And then you just did it. And it was awesome. And then Val and I both kind of unpacked, comedy is different. It's a riskier obviously you have a guitar, me, the crowd is the guitar, and I have to like manufacture some connection.
Yeah.
So I would have to go up and be like, I know it's a little bit weird that this is Hillary's night and I'm going to do comedy. Not that anybody asked me, but if they did, there would be a lot more throat clearing. I couldn't just be like, and play. So there's more, it's a more tender organ. So it can fail on the table, on the operating table more easily than I think music or art or I mean like visual art. But when it's cooking, there's nothing better.
Oh, so you're saying when it goes bad by just meaning it's not effective, like nobody's laughing? Is that it going bad? Or is it the wicked humor that I was talking about?
I meant the first, that it's not working. The other, to fold in the wicked humor, I actually think when you watch, to use my own metaphor, like dark magic, and to me, an easy example would be like when Chappelle goes against the trans community. I'm always just sort of like, all of this potential, and this is what we're doing, and I love Chappelle. I love him, and there's no shade here. I'm just saying there's a mischievous, like, you can't tell me what I can't say delight that he gets in that. And I'm not saying that's dark magic. I'm just saying it's not the cream of the crop for me.
I wonder, so I would assume I would assume you know what I'm talking about in this, but just to be clear, because you're bringing dark and light into it, I don't think you're talking about a morality as far as dark jokes being, because dark humor can be some of the most like light, if that makes sense. Like when you
totally,
when you find the darkest shit to like bring up and find a way to laugh at it, there's a beautiful love. It's like only love that can set it free.
Yeah,
in a way, into a laugh.
Yeah,
which is maybe why that experience of we're all in love, meaning we're all allowing life to be as full and crazy and absurd and ridiculous as it is.
Yeah. That's here you're bald. That's here you're bald. That's the good side. If this guy's with it, here you're bald.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. This is crazy. This just popped into my mind. There was a comedian I saw, and he wasn't classically attractive. He's a very, very funny guy. And he just did this bit where he's like, I know I'm ugly. And it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was because he was pure confident. He wasn't, he wasn't ashamed. He wasn't, he was somehow being the most attractive, quote, ugly guy, that it was irresistible. I couldn't believe, I know I keep saying alchemy, but it really was alchemy. This guy killed, and there were probably like 30 people in the crowd. No one was doing well. And I'll never forget when he said, I know I'm ugly, and everyone died, and he was riding that horse. He was the conductor, he was doing it. So yeah, dark humor can be wonderful. And I don't even know if if I have hard and fast rules. Something I feel strongly about is that you can watch comedy that is without swears and isn't about sex.
Right.
That is filthy.
Wicked.
In my opinion.
Yes.
And I actually, it's funny, the tour that I'm doing right now that I just started is called the PG-13 tour, because I wrote this hour of material and I noticed that there were no F words and fuck words, and there wasn't any jokes about genitals. Usually my comedy is PG-13, but I do one big piece about dicks or something, or I say fuck because I'm kind of lazy and it's funny to say fuck. And I was like, if I take that out, I can just kind of have this tour have a different feel. And I also realized, because I was done making the point that God doesn't like you more if you don't say bitch.
Yeah.
And I just satiated that desire to be like, it's not clean to not swear, and it's not dirty to swear.
Totally.
But I still feel very passionate.
But I wonder if it's how much of it's about, is this being brought, is the darkness, the cracks, the unsayable thing, is it being brought into the room in love from the comedian? I wonder how much of it's that, because like you can go to the darkest places if you can bring it in love, where it's like some of my favorite hilarious laughs have been around some of our most painful, like Lou's health issue, or like,
Yeah.
you know,
in your
Lou
kitchen.
having Down syndrome, and some
Yeah.
of the heart surgeries, some of the like most beautiful
We had one in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. In fact, you and Lisa have spoiled me for like unoffendability, and I just cherish you guys as friends. And these jokes aren't horrible. They're just not. It's just,
If they weren't coming from love, they'd be
yeah.
incredibly mean.
Back to my love language is benefit of the doubt. And I see
Yeah.
you guys, and I remember just kind of breaching a topic, and then you yes-handed it so hard. And now we're just crying, laughing. And that's a little version of like, in here, let's look at it, and let's look at it in a way that we can.
Yeah, and if we can do that, even the self-deprecating thing, it seems like that'd be harder to do to somebody else, to like trust that the bald guy's gonna take it in that humor. But if you're the bald guy and you said it on your own head, but you're doing it where you're taking care of that part, you love it. It's your child. It's your,
Yeah.
There's no shadow of you trying to shame that part, or
Right.
or you're just bringing its absurdity into the light. And like this, look at how far out we get to go in this experience of life,
Right.
and still loving it. That's some of the deepest laughs, the most release, that place where you find the contradiction of like,
Right.
wow. And when you're, a good laugh is that the whole body just
Yes.
saying yes.
Well, the best shows of my life have been usually, let's say if you and I had this conversation and then I went out and did stand-up, those are always the best shows of my life. I had this dinner with Rob Bell, and then I went out and did a show at Largo, and it was the best show because we were just talking about it. We were talking, and we were in it. And when you can really get in touch with like the beautiful nothing of it, but like here it is seeming to be, and there's no fear. And when there's no fear, there's no like hate, and it's all love. You can kind of go anywhere. That's what happened in our kitchen. We love each other. We all love each other, the kids and everybody. And we're just like saturated in it. It kind of makes it easier to laugh about almost anything.
If you think about it as liturgy or as a spiritual thing, as we've been talking about, is there anything you would do to the form if you just had absolute control of how society was at this point and how people, what would be a way that people could engage in comedy, even more than just a stand-up show, or like,
yeah.
And maybe you don't have any ideas about this. This is something I dream about. This is what I did these events play, and I want to do more. And that's kind of, to me, that was like, I was trying to bring in what I loved about church, singing together, being together, ritual, and what I love about going to a comedy show, which is like this embrace of the absurd. And we were doing things like, I was trying to create rituals with bubbles, and like, but really, how serious can we take it? Like the bubble blowing, can we make it as like sacred and like we don't laugh as possible? Does that make it as funny as it could be as well? And anyway, I'm interested in, again, liturgy. This is what this whole season is about. And if you were custom making, how does comedy and humor and the illumination of the absurd fit into spirituality and togetherness? And is there anything that in a lab, in an experiment, that you would like seeing, or is there any, I don't know, I'm just asking you sort of a creative mind question of like,
yeah, I understand what you're saying. Like, what keeps coming to mind is when I did we talked about this, when I did my last Rupert Spira retreat, I performed stand up, and that was interesting. And I don't see Rupert as like, well, I don't see him as a guru or and I certainly don't see him as a conniving guru that like wants to like trick me and be like, oh, you want to be nothing and everything, come do stand up for us, like bring your ego, like bring your full ego into this light. Because that ended up being an interesting challenge for me, is going like, which of my jokes are like appropriate for a place that is just
so spiritual,
but also soaked in love. It's like really
interesting.
That's trickier,
because
like,
the wicked jokes probably won't go over very well.
And yes, and I noticed that I have a lot of jokes. I have a joke right now, I love it, about how I was pushing Leela on the swings, and real broad strokes here. There was a kid who punched me in the dick, and then like 20 minutes later, I'm pushing Leela on the swings again, and he walked in front of Leela's swing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I didn't stop it from happening. Like I didn't make it happen. Like I didn't do it, but I... The joke I say, I was like Batman, I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you, right? It was like, this happens. Kids get hit by swings every day.
Yeah.
Every time I'm at the playground, someone gets clobbered.
It's very funny.
So in this, it's a joke about being petty,
right?
Vengeful, uncaring, domineering. There's a lot of like negative.
And loving your daughter and loving justice.
That's right. Peace, patience, love, gentleness, justice.
All of it.
But to me, what's very clear is that I'm a huge solidarity guy, where I'm like, I know the ingredients of the story don't matter. When we get punched in the dick, we want the person to pay. And it's very absurd that it's a child. And the story is sort of fudged. It's a couple different stories merged into one, but thematically it's completely true. And in a lot of ways, it's literally exactly what happened. I can't protect myself from that. But I was like, well, I can't do that joke here. I mean, we're so... On day 6 of a Rupert Spira retreat...
I think you could have done it. Did you do it?
I think I could have done... I didn't do it.
Interesting.
I think I could have done it, but like... Let's put it this way. I think Rupert would like it.
Rupert would like it.
I think the group does... And it's not because they're filtering. I think it's because they're so in love. When I left that retreat, I went to the airport and I was flying home. One of those weird guys inside, after a retreat, I'm on the plane, no earbuds, just looking at everybody on the plane and absolutely like in love with them to the point where my heart was breaking. And the light on the ceiling of the plane was so beautiful. My heart was breaking. Heartbreaking, good heartbreak. That the steward that was serving us, everything, the pilots, it was unbearable. And it's hard to be like, you ever push a kid into another kid?
Yeah, but if you bring it in love.
I agree. Look, we've said this a million times. If I could perform for 10,000 Gungis, it'd be the best show of my life. It would be the best show of my life. And I'll also say it's probably me. It's probably me going, it's too costly that Rupert, let's play out the fantasy, shakes his head like a no and then walks out.
But that'd be funny. Sorry, no.
No. I'm not breaking eye contact because I'm sad. I'm like, my ego is like, that's death. That's death. Because I think in some way I'm still giving this person, you're helping me realize I'm still giving them authority to tell me that I'm okay, which is probably a blind spot, which is, my performing isn't entirely pure. I still am going up at least a little bit asking, am I a wicked boy?
But see that you're saying it's like, you can't bring that into awareness, but through love, like to see it is to love it. Right.
Yeah,
so if you can notice it and then bringing it into the space, I think that's what was so beautiful about the first class thing or whatever. Like for you to be able to see that aspect of yourself means you're not totally lost in it.
Right.
And to bring it to the surface in consciousness is a loving act.
And in the same way saying, here's a story where I say this on stage all the time, sometimes quite overtly. I don't like telling stories where I win. Good for me, right? But I don't. And a lot of comedians do. They do tell the story. I'm telling that story with a smirk of, look at how like petty I was, because I know, like, I don't want to say Mother Teresa, but like whoever it is knows what it feels like to be selfish or petty or overprotective of their kid.
Yes, everyone does.
Yeah. And that's me going, here you're bald, and here I'm petty, and here I'm selfish, and here I'm scared, and here I'm whatever it is. I'm a turd.
Right. But the joke from the aspect of us that knows that we are already loved, from that deepest knowing that like the comedy of I am already infinite love, and I can become this petty I have this experience of being this petty and this selfish.
Yeah.
Is the joke. Like,
I agree. And I'm going to concede that if I had been if I had done this podcast with you and then went out and done the show,
you could have done the joke. Yeah.
But I didn't feel the support.
Right.
It was too risky for me.
Yeah.
And to have my beloved teacher, I'll tell you this, like I did some jokes. Rupert has a book called You Are the Happiness You Seek, which I love. And it was his birthday. And I go, Rupert, you are the happy birthday you seek. And I've had regret for saying that, not because of him. I'll be reading, I start my mornings reading Rupert, and sometimes I'll be reading it and I'm like, remember a joke I made? It's like, why did you say that? Like one of the jokes, I'll give you an example. I go, I told this joke last year, but if Rupert's taught me anything, it's okay to repeat yourself. Because he does. He uses the same metaphors over and over. And I love him so much that I'm reading the book and I'm like, why did you say that to that guy? It's not free. You know what I mean? There's a cost. Yeah. So when I'm like considering, should I tell the swing story or not? It's actually a self-protective, it's an imperfect self-protection that I'm like, I'm not ready to let them see that that I can be petty or that I can be unkind. That if the story, you and I grew up in the church, if the story had been like, so I grabbed Lila off the swing and stopped it from happening, and I went up and I said, even though you punched me in the penile tissue, I spared you because that's what Jesus would do.
Not funny.
I know it's not funny, but I still clearly have some part of me that's like, then that would have been an okay joke to tell at the spiritual retreat, I guess. But again, if you and I had this conversation and then I went out and you were there, that's another interesting aspect. Had you been in the audience, emboldening me, now I'm playing chicken with you. And that's a whole different dynamic.
Yeah.
This is why you bring an opener. I tour with Matt McCarthy. He's one of my best friends. And he's hilarious and a great way to open the show. And he's a witness. Now I have a tether.
Interesting.
Or if Val is at the show, I have a tether. And it's like, there's a joke. Don't do that joke, but now your friend is there. Of course, do that joke.
Interesting.
Because it's not just for the audience; it's for this person I'll be in the car with after the show.
I feel that musically even sometimes. Like I feel more musically courageous if somebody's there, especially if they're in the band. But somebody's like, at least you're gonna get this joke, this musical joke.
I felt that when William and everybody was there watching you play. I was like, this is great. There are other comics in the room. It's a better show.
Interesting.
Every comic will be playing to the comics. Sometimes it's very sweet. One of the things I like about whatever you want to say, being established as a comedian, and I don't take it for granted, is I'll be in the green room at the Comedy Store, and sometimes comics will come out to watch. And that is the ultimate. Yeah. It touches my heart to even say that. I'm like, how did this happen? Even more than like, how did I do a TV show or this or this? It's like, some 28-year-old comic wants to watch me. I'm like, that's incredible. And then you go like, well, I don't phone it in, but you're like, now I'm really not going to phone it in.
Yeah.
Now it really matters.
I think it's really to apply what you're saying and what's kind of come up in this conversation to liturgy in general, if I could be nerdy about it, is because the people I've talked to so far about liturgy from different places, whether it's musically or even what seemed to be most powerful about some of the religious liturgies, like let's say the Eucharist. It's interesting that there is this, like when you think about the Eucharist, there is this bringing forth of the ugly, the broken body and broken, poured out blood. Bring it into yourself. Yeah,
literally eat it.
And let's do it together and remember that this is what we are.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening in comedy. When you tell from a place of love, like, yeah, I wanted to push my kid into a kid.
I don't want to... But I immediately agree with you. Like off the record, edit this out. But I immediately agree with you. I might be modeling. Our whole faith was like brokenness, eat it, blood, body, torture, murder, eat it together, eat it together.
Hey guys, hope you're enjoying this episode so far. I just wanted to drop in a quick commercial for Pete's newest comedy special. He didn't ask me to do this, but he, a few weeks ago, dropped a new special on YouTube, and it's one of the funniest comedy specials I've ever seen. Silly, silly, fun boy. It's amazing. And I think he really is demonstrating some of the things that we're talking about, even in this podcast. He feels really in touch with his pain, and it all feels very loving to me as well. So highly recommend. Check it out. All right, back to the conversation. What is the cosmic joke? Is kind of what we talked about at the beginning of like this infinite love, infinite being that has no threat of anything, becoming this experience of only threat, of only death, of only suffering.
Of being upset that it's in zone 4. That's the joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the joke.
And we remember it by bringing it by making it conscious. I mean, like,
well, and Rupert would
remember me.
He
remember
said
this is what I am.
That when you laugh, you are your true self.
Mm-hmm.
He would say, when I was, we use the words like enthralled, like, or consumed by your performance last night, I wasn't in those couple minutes reminding myself, I'm Pete, I'm a man, I'm an American, I'm 46 years old. Like you vanish, you just become spacious in the audience of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I would agree with that when we laugh, we're not there,
Yeah, but it's like the meeting of not there and there.
Yeah.
Because if you're totally not there, there's no laughter.
Right.
And if you're totally just the thing itself, if you're just totally Pete and totally Michael, it's not funny. You're offended. Like, why are you laughing at the Eucharist? Like, that's not funny at all.
Right.
That's the body and blood of Jesus Christ, the one Son of God who gives you salvation. What are you laughing at?
Right.
You can't find the joke, which is what it's like. That's the darker in some ways, the more into suffering, the deeper you can go into, oh my God, hell, and bring it.
Well, again, Val and I were going through some family stuff, like tension families. And on the drive down, we were scream laughing. I think I maybe told you this. Let's say we were having problems with my cousin, Raymond, who I love. Raymond, if you hear this, we weren't having problems. But let's say both Val and I were having problems with Raymond. On the ride down, I was like, just out of nowhere, I went, is there anybody better than cousin Raymond? And we're just already laughing. And then I'm being sarcastic, saying the opposite of everything. Like, he's so generous. You know what I mean? Mm. And like just laughing, that can be really, really powerful. I don't know if I addressed what you were just talking about. I don't know why I said that. Was that propos of anything?
When you're doing that, what's happening? What's funny about that?
Exactly. Well, it's naming it.
Mm.
It's like, let's be bald.
It's just harder when it's like, if it feels like an other, to me, you're getting more towards what saying the wicked joke or whatever. When it feels like the more that you own it, like it's not laughing at them, the punching down or whatever, when it feels like a them that you're
right
laughing at, you're actually moving away from seeing that it's you. You're moving away from the joke.
I see what you're saying. It's kind of like what we were talking about with nonviolent parenting. It's not cousin Raymond. It's like, I'm feeling upset because my need for being tenderly cared for isn't being met.
Yeah.
And that is funny.
What's funny is that I think this is about Raymond.
Right. Yeah. No, it's very interesting. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
The whole thing is funny.
But I mean, I just, you're one of the best in the world that I've ever seen at this, the sacredness of comedy. Because I think you do it, whether you like it, when you know you're doing it, when you don't. I think there is a love that has been present in your work and in your.
I really appreciate that. That's where you ever get this feeling as a spiritual person, but as a spiritual person, you go like, where is the fruition of this? Like, again, it's my number one interest, though. It is. It's like, it's my thing.
Yeah.
And then you go like, how can I know if any of this is if I'm being converted or transformed, or if I'm like being realized, or whatever you want to say. And like, when you say that, it makes me go like, oh, good. Because like, while I don't overtly set out to write jokes about God or whatever. Sometimes I do, but like most of the time I don't. You're like, well, that's where it would come out. That's the dump. You know what I mean? Like we can go through the dump and be like, is any of this loving or is any of this true? Because the stand-up just kind of writes itself. You know what I'm saying? So it's a good litmus test for like, is anything kind of getting through to me?
But even some of your earlier stuff, when it was like more, even when you weren't talking about God, you know, when you don't talk about God as much, even just recognizing the absurdity of things, the wonder of things, like we're all just going to sit here and pretend that sleeping is normal, or you know, like,
yeah.
And you bring that absurd. It is bringing the aspect of you that wants to script this all out as understandable, as scientific, as rational and logical. It's bringing that darkness. That's darkness to the surface.
Yeah.
And we laugh because like we just, I so easily crucify, sorry, I keep bringing these Christians, like the Liturgist podcast, crucify the wonder and the livingness of existence into these little mental constructs. And by playing with the edges of those and like, look at how ridiculous this thing that we think is normal is.
Yeah. No, you're right.
You're actually bringing your own darkness still to the forefront. You're bringing these parts of you that want to, but it's in love. It's like, let's embrace this. Let's embrace how ridiculous it is that we don't think this is ridiculous.
You know, it's funny that you picked that example because the joke goes like this. Like, I go explain sleep to an alien that doesn't sleep. I'm like, I could explain food. Like, I need energy. Food has energy, so I eat it so I can use its energy. And the alien's like, okay. I'm like, he goes, is that it? And I go, no. This is the key. I go, at night, regardless of how much energy I've eaten. So like right away, we've already seen how absurd food is. It gives us energy. Like regardless of how much energy I've eaten, I just got to shut it down. I go, what? He's like, yeah, I just got to lay in the dark, silent, with my eyes closed
so good.
For 8, 9, sometimes 12 hours. He goes, that sounds boring. And he goes, no. My brain plays movies that I'm in. And then when I really got into
it's so good.
It's one of my favorites too. Forgive me, but like if people knew how much the jokes just do show up, there is some effort and some polishing, but they really do just like I'm a product of the world we all live in. Meaning like I'm our comedian, like you're our musician. Like it's just a product of all of it.
I couldn't believe like getting to being friends with you. It's like, oh, this is just always happening. It's not just the show. This is just you. It's fucking great.
But it's also just how this responds to everything that's happening that we're doing. But I appreciate that. But then when I got into Rupert, when he talks about sleep and dreams, two things that are mentioned in that are in my opinion, the biggest clues to the mystery of the universe there are.
Yeah.
Is that I sleep.
Totally.
And sleep is awareness without an object. It's God. Like deep sleep, and this isn't just Rupert, Ramana Maharshi and others would point out that when you are deeply asleep, it's not the absence of awareness, it's the awareness of absence. That's a Rupert line. Meaning there's nothing to be aware of, but you still are. You still have the experience of continuity, even though time vanishes. But if your alarm clock went off, you would still hear it. You're still there. So I was like, that joke to me, I considered doing it at the Rupert retreat because I was like, it's fun. My brain plays movies that I'm in. Dreams are, in my opinion, the biggest, like we'll all laugh when we're dead at like the whole thing. In my one way to think of it is as God's dream, and to give itself a clue every night. We had dreams wherein we were in 3-dimensional realities, having relationships, touching things, being afraid of things, being mad at things, loving things, flying, ecstasy, joy, sometimes dying. All of these things happen, and then you wake up and it's not real. And then you're in this one and you're like, but this one is real, even though this is the same. Now it's just a dream from billions of perspectives simultaneously, but it's not that far of a jump to go like that. This reality is all made of the knowing of it in the same way that reality was made of the knowing of it.
And I love that you named your daughter Leela.
Yeah.
Dream. Like, imagine if you had a dream where I had this dream where I had this kid named Dream.
Oh my God. It's too much.
It's great.
I know. The way I've heard Ram Dass say Leela means the play too,
Okay.
the play of the universe, right?
Yeah.
And we joke that we named, or I joke, Val doesn't really care as much about this translation. She loves all this stuff, but I go, we named Leela the meaning of life. Like, don't forget, it's a Leela.
Yeah.
So it's like, there you go. That's the best thing I've learned, is that this is a dance or it's a play.
Yeah.
And then something else that keeps coming up is like, talk about the cosmic joke. There's a great Alan Watts quote where he says that God's greatest creation is an atheist. And when I say an atheist, it sounds so pejorative. It sounds like I'm putting it down. I'm actually saying, what could be more amazing?
Totally.
Imagine if you were everything and you split yourself so many times in an effort to, not even an effort, just in a natural expression of your own creativity. And you got so far into this hall of mirrors that you forgot. Not only did you forget what you did, you vehemently deny.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of things, but I've always liked, it's my own analogy, but it's like we're pens filled with this magical ink, and the ink is consciousness. And some of the pens write, "This is bullshit," is the funniest thing.
Yeah.
It's the funniest thing. If awareness looks into a microscope and looks at cells with a knowing that it doesn't know, that it doesn't understand, and uses that knowing that it doesn't know or understand to determine that nothing knows, like there is nothing. That's the funniest thing.
It's so funny.
It's the funniest joke. It's the funniest joke. It's the funniest. It's too funny.
Well, it's inspiring. One more time, just to pull it back to the big liturgy. Like, I think anybody that's making any kind of participating or creating some sort of liturgy, whether it's, and the way I'm looking at it this season is that's artists, that's musicians, that's comedians, that's pastors and priests and whatever, imams and monks, whatever. I think what we can learn from comedy on some level, all of us, me as a musician, what I've learned from comedy, what I'm learning from comedy constantly is that, like, it wouldn't be funny for you to tell those jokes. It's not funny for the joke about the swing to end with, but then I realized that was sinful and I went and I saved the kid. And I was like, it's not funny.
No,
how many of us are?
It's actually a betrayal of the contract.
Yeah. Totally.
And then I grabbed Leela and I pulled her off the swing. And I looked at that boy and I said, "It's because I love you."
Right. And how many pastors have preached sermons like that? It's not funny.
It's not the full picture.
No, it's
not honest.
It's not sacred that way.
It's Jesus without blood.
Right.
It's Jesus without the blood.
Right.
Yeah.
And so as a musician, what am I doing jokes like that musically? Am I pulling the punches that I want to look good musically? Am I
Yeah.
That this becomes somehow about me and how I'm sounding, how am I presenting myself to the world, rather than, I just saw the one-on-one documentary yesterday about John Lennon and Yoko Ono, and the way that it was not about it wasn't about him. He was like so engaged in the art that he was making, and it was coming through him because he was looking at, these people that needed a voice, or this cause that he was passionate about, or this love that he was experiencing. It was just moving through him in this beautiful way, but it came up with grit. I think any of us that are creating things in the world, like, and maybe that back to our first conversation about like why we don't like somebody when they're have gotten happy. That's a bummer. But I think there's also an aspect of that is like, you really don't have any grit, any tension left to bring out for us.
Yeah. People like that do inspire me, because as my first class story shows, I'm not quite ready to be a 10 out of 10, just like, this is what it is, man. This is what it is. But you inspire me in that way. You really do. I'm not just saying that. And I am okay. I'm proud of the level that I've achieved. And
it's gorgeous. It's beautiful.
I appreciate that. And this is self-serving, but when I talk to other people, even other creative people that are going for authenticity and vulnerability, I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing just fine. Like, you're doing fine. It's just not completely cooked.
Yeah.
It's not completely cooked.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Because it can become like the Facebook ad performative. Like this, if you're bringing forth pain, that's
right. Well, authenticity means being authentic even to the part of me that isn't ready to be completely authentic.
Totally.
Yeah. And being and people can sense that too. When I'm telling the first class story, you can sense that I'm padding it in these ways. And that's part of the performance as well.
Yeah.
It's like, look at how uncomfortable
Yeah.
he is. You might not even consciously think that, but you're like, did you notice how he said this and this and that? And as a hypervigilant child, that's what I've learned. I've learned to like pinball, like put enough bumpers and things to keep the ball moving exactly how I want. And that can be tricky because it's a fine line.
But it wouldn't be as funny if you called it out. Like when you were telling the story a little bit ago, you called it out.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is still bringing it to the surface.
That's right. That's how you have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, like if you had just said all that stuff, like, listen, I don't, I did this for 15 years. And if you just said that without saying, look at me manipulating you, it wouldn't have been funny. That part wouldn't have been funny.
No, it's like Ryan Holiday, trust me, I'm lying. That's such a funny, powerful thing to say. Is like, trust me, I want you to like me, and
exactly.
I will not rest until you do. It's so embarrassing. But it's funny. I had this other joke. This I don't know why this came to mind, but I have this joke about seeming like a pedophile because I was giving my nephew a ride on a bicycle, and I couldn't remember the word nephew. I introduced him to somebody and I couldn't remember that he was my nephew. So without ruining the joke is I'm worried I looked like a pedophile.
Yeah.
The day before my comedy show at the retreat, there was a really powerful talk on sex traffic, on human trafficking. And I'm there listening. I'm writing it down. I'm like, this is a great cause to donate to. And I'm crossing that joke off my set list. I'm like, comedy does sort of wilt under like, no, let's really talk about this and let's like mobilize and donate and stop it. And I'm like, I'm just making a joke about how embarrassed I was that somebody might have thought I was a weird sex predator. And people are like, no, that's real and we should do something about it. You see why? You see how strange it was? It wasn't just piety. It was also like when you do comedy shows, the cliche is that someone gets on stage and does a slideshow of children, sick kids, because it's a fundraiser for a hospital, and then brings you out because it doesn't work. And this isn't just comedy.
Interesting.
I thought this was a really interesting kind of a Science Mikey kind of thing to know. Is if you remind people of their death, they behave differently. So there was this experiment where it's an empty room, except there's a table, a framed picture, a nail, and a crucifix in the room, like a little crucifix that you would like hang over your bed. And it's like they would send people into the room and say, hang up the picture. They weren't just laying out there. That's what was in the room, like in various places. They go, hang up the picture. Two groups. One group was shown a video about mortality, about you will die one day, blah, blah, blah. The other one wasn't shown that video. The group that was shown the video, you will die one day, couldn't hang up the picture. They couldn't figure it out. The second group immediately went in, picked up the nail, took the crucifix, which basically is a hammer, and hammered the nail into the wall with the crucifix and hung up the picture. Because they were primed differently.
That's crazy.
And comedy, we're in the business of priming and building. So the ritual, the liturgy of like the Comedy Cellar, lower yourself, go into the bowels of this building. Like be huddled together, be dark, be cold. Now wait, the show will start a little bit late. And now lights, sound, focal point, that's priming. And if somebody comes out and goes, children are dying, and then, or people are being trafficked, and like, it's so fragile. It really does ruin it.
But it like ruins it. Again, if you had a full audience of me, you could pretty much say anything. If that's the context of like, we're here to laugh.
There is no full
But so then you're like,
audience.
what? But that's the art form for you it's a strange, and I don't know how much of that applies to me too. It's like, how much can people take?
Yeah.
Do you ask yourself that? Or like, do you I guess you feel it. You naturally feel it. Like, this is too much.
In the time where I'm, I have my new hour, but I'm working on it. This is the time. I think it might be the most exciting time to see me live, if you're into that, because I am going to be taking more risks. And there's going to be jokes where I'm like,
if you don't laugh, you're going to hate this.
I don't know about this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the time in the creative process where I'm in the green room asking people, like, is that over the line? Yeah. It
is the line
be,
for you
over the line,
the line of like, will you laugh? Is that the line?
Will you laugh? And also, I mean, in an extreme way, will you get mad? Will you get like, will I get the opposite of what I want? Everybody to feel together and like the joke was, because I do think I'm going to cut it. Because like whenever you see a movie that takes place in the past, it's just the year they made it, but they're pretending it's the past. Like if you see Gladiator 2, it's 2025. Nobody thinks that's ancient Rome at all.
Yeah.
It's just clothing. And they kind of talk with a British accent, but it's 2025. And the way you know that is like there's prominent female characters and no one is like, why is this woman speaking in our presence? Right? So I'm just pointing out how horrible the past is. And then I take that to its logical conclusion that there's also prominent black characters and nobody's like, sorry, who's like basically like whose slave is this? That's a dark joke.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the way I felt saying it and it didn't do that well. So you go like that cut, but had it murdered, had it been like the funniest fucking joke, then you'd go like, okay, the conflicting feeling I get making that joke might be worth it because it's the funniest thing I've ever thought.
But I think it's more, I would guess from having seen you tell jokes that didn't go well on the first delivery and then like.
You think I should keep at it?
I've seen you be like, you're not going to laugh at that. That's like, because the
joke becomes
you felt it. I think it'd be more about like I didn't feel good about saying it. That's probably what makes whatever you're saying not work.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If I really dug in.
If you knew that you loved it,
I know I'm ugly. If
I exactly. I think you can kind of probably say almost anything.
Yeah.
Because I've seen you do it. I've seen you push beyond the line of the crowd and then like bring them over with you.
Well, it's funny because I've even considered that if I did do that joke again, that then the joke would be me saying, oh, I'm sorry, you weren't aware that the past is horrible.
Yeah.
That would be
the way. And I'm not encouraging the joke either way. I think you have really good instincts about even what you don't like might be a real clue. Like something about that doesn't feel.
Well, I'll tell you, I do think I'm going to cut it because I'm like, I'm also a product of my environment and I'm watching comedians do like more edgy, more whatever. Yeah. And that might be like this weird mirroring thing that I'm doing where I'm like, should I be doing that? Like when Metallica is like, should we cut our hair? You know what I mean? Right. Like, I don't know if I want to play catch up. You want to be aware of what's going on in the climate and what people are enjoying. But sometimes I can tell the distinct feeling I get when I'm like, oh, I'm doing that because I'm like, isn't it cool to be edgy now? Like, isn't that what we want again?
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah, I'll just do what I do.
Yeah. And what you do is beautiful.
Thanks, man.
Well, thank you. This is what I was hoping for and talking to you about.
Me too, man. Always.
About this.
I wasn't going to wrap it up, but I was like, this is perfect. This is when Leela gets out of school.
Okay, wonderful.
Loved it.
Thanks for listening, everybody. I've got another one of these conversations about liturgy that I want to put out here soon with Kimbra, who's an amazing musician. We're going to talk about the liturgy of performance and concerts, music. Do please come see us on tour. If you'd like to stay in the loop with what's going on with the liturgists, my other work, everywhere else, please subscribe to my newsletter. That's a good way of connecting. Thanks to all the patrons who make my work possible, and thanks to all of you who have listened and been around for this whole journey through these years. And welcome any newbies as well. So glad you're here, and we'll see you next time.